Harry, back from suspension, I imagine, raring to go and trying to help Cheltenham get back into the third round.
Yeah, it's an important time for the club. We all know how important it is for the club. And everyone in the changing room wants to bounce back from what's been two not very good performances and obviously two defeats that we didn't want.
Obviously, it's on a plastic pitch. Training this week in the cold, I'd imagine you'd have been on an artificial surface anyway, so it's kind of worked out very nicely, hasn't it?
Yeah, we last year we trained on artificial quite a bit, and I've seen a few things wrote about it and stuff. And you know, from our aspect, there's not going to be no excuses. We've been fully prepared. We've trained on it, or we're training on it for the 4 days that were leading up to the game. So we'll have the feel. We've been on 2 different ones as well. So yeah, looking forward to the game. And like you said, it's a massive game, not only for the club but for our individuals as well to bounce back really.
And you talk about not all artificial pitches being the same. How do they differ? What sort of are the bits that you notice?
Well, the Gaffers lined up 2 artificial pitches this week, and you know the contrast between the 2 itself is massive as well. So it'll be interesting to see what Sutton's is like. But you know you get more of the black. There's the black little bits in the AstroTurf as such that. Some pitches have a lot of it. Some people had some pitches have hardly any. The bounce is always different on different pitches, but like I said, there's not 100% sure there's not going to be no excuses for us playing on an artificial pitch. There's 22 players on the pitch, and we need to be better than them.
And how do you cope personally, or does it suit the smaller lads like Munsey?
I personally think that it does favour some, maybe not the smaller lads, but some. Players it does favour, and yeah, for whatever reason I'm not too sure, but you know we'll see what team the gaffer selects, and them people have to go out and do a job for the team.
He was very much big about being up for the cup for the first round. Has it been the same for the second round?
Yeah, most definitely. We've had to put our league performances aside the last 2 games, and you know the full focus of it has been the FA Cup and how important it is for us. So we're all going into that game understanding that you know that there's a massive emphasis on getting through for the club. So yeah, but the boys are looking forward to it, and you know when you play and you have a bad game or you play and you get a loss that you don't want. It's important to get back on the bike, and you know we've had a full week in between both as well, so it's been quite mentally tough on the boys. But yeah, we've prepared this week, and it would have been ideal if the game was on the Tuesday night, so we can get back out there. But no, it's important, and like I said, for sure we understand how important it is.
And an opportunity for the gaffer if he goes that way in selection. Something he hasn't had the chance to do too often this season. You and Kyle Storr are together in the middle of the park. I mean, some people might look at it and say, well, that's one of the reasons why Cheltenham have at times struggled for results.
You win as a team, you lose as a team. You know, you say me and Kyle Storr on against Hartlepool. Me and Kyle Storr played together, and you know, it was probably the worst performance of the season. So, you know, at times like this, you need to be realistic. You need to be honest with yourselves, and we've done a lot of work, and we're looking to, well, we're most indefinitely looking to improve. So that's what we need to do.
And on a personal level, you seem to be getting booked for absolutely anything at the moment. Maybe you got away with 1 or 2 at the start of the season. Probably not happening at the moment. Do you sort of feel you need to change your own game at all?
It's funny you should say that. I had to go into I thought to myself I wanted to go into the gaffer's office after that sending off. I apologised, and you know it was the second booking was on my part probably very poor. The game had gone, and I was very frustrated, and I shouldn't have for the games I've played. I apologise to the gaffer that I should never have put myself in that situation really. But the first one for me again wasn't a booking. But you know we had a chat, and I've been doing some work with Ian Hutton. I don't really want to give too much away, but yeah, I've been doing some work off the season. I've had a chat with the gaffer, so I'm looking to improve on that aspect. And even though I don't feel that a lot of them have been bookings, they still are bookings on your record. So something I need to look at, and we've looked at.
Thank you. Good luck.
FA Cup's been quite good to you, isn't it? You had a game at Wimbledon a couple of years ago in the third round, but you were tweeting about the other day because one of your opponents retired. Is that the kind of thing that you can say to the boys? Look, come on, boys, we could play up against an Ibrahimovic, a Rooney, a Hazard.
He's massive, and it's like I say, it's the sort of things that you want to tell your grandchildren about, that you've played against Steven Gerrard, that you've done this, that you've played against that, but you got to get there. That's the most important thing, and it don't really matter how you get there in the FA Cup. It's just getting there. And we all know, like I've said it many times here now, we all know how important it is for the club to get in that third round. So we need to do everything that we can. We might not necessarily have to play the best that we've ever played free-flowing football, but we need to get through, and that's what we're going to try and do. What
are your memories of that game of Wimbledon against Liverpool?
I come off the bench. I can remember being absolutely starstruck with the likes of Steven Gerrard. They brought a really competitive squad as well that game, and just watching Coutinho and that is brilliant. But it's one of them things that the FA Cup can do some wonderful things to some average people, really. The likes of the lower leagues, and you go on a little cup run, and before you know it, you're on the telly and you put yourself out there, and so that's what we're looking to do.
Is Saturday more about attitude than anything else? Because you're the big boys, you're the giants to be killed.
Quite possibly. I don't think that we're the giants to be killed necessarily. But what we do know is that we competed very well at that level last year, and for that game we're going back to that level. So, like I said, there's no excuses.
And funny, on you mentioned every plastic pitch, every artificial pitch is different. Does the warm-up take on extra sort of note on Saturday? Do you have to sort of gauge everything you can in the warm-up, the bounce of the ball, the way it runs, the way it feels underfoot, and so on?
I wouldn't be able to tell you because I've never played on one. I've never done a warm-up on one unless it's training. But I'm sure that we'll have all that in mind. So.
Excellent. Cheers, Paddy.